Dodgers will face the Brewers in the NLCS. Who will be the Dodgers Game 1 starter? What are some of the big roster questions that they need to answer? We heard from Dave Roberts today. He spoke to reporters. We're going to break down everything he said. Also, the Dodgers in the mix for Japanese star Munetaka Murakami. Is that a right fit? Will they get him? So much more on a late night Dodgers Dugout After Dark.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Warrior Parade! We got it, Parade! The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series! Ohtani starts the 50-50 club! Monkey magic! Freeman hits the ball to right field! She is gone! Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out. What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. I cover the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation, a credential member of the media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Thanks for rocking with us. A late night episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. And you know I had to go live because now it's official. The Dodgers will head to Milwaukee. The Brewers beating the Cubs tonight. It's going to be the Blue Crew versus the Brew Crew, a rematch of the 2018 NLCS, where the Dodgers also started on the road and had to go to Milwaukee in Game 7 to take that one. Also, the Dodgers faced the Brewers in that wild card round at Dodger Stadium in 2020. It'll be the third time these two have faced off in the postseason. So give me all your thoughts, comments, and questions. What are your thoughts? What are your big questions heading into this one? Because I have a lot of them. We're going to hear from Dave Roberts here in a few minutes to hear what he has to say about the roster, because there are some really interesting questions they need to answer. Will we see Ha-Seong Kim, Justin Dean again on the same roster? Will we see three catchers, Will Smith, Ben Rortvedt, and Dalton Rushing? Will we see some guys out of the bullpen that we didn't see in the first couple rounds make their return? Guys like Ben Kasparius and Will Klein, who will be the Game 1 starter on Monday. So a lot of questions that need to be answered, and that is why we are here. But hey, it's Saturday night. Live from Hollywood, it's Saturday night. Snellzilla as Game 1 starter from LSU Jones. We got to Rogelio Rojo, Bats Best Wake Up. Hi, D-Mac, love the fit. Princess A. You know, it's Saturday. I had to rock the Jackie Robinson, Mitchell Ness. My friends over at Born Raised sent your boy a bunch of gear. So, you know, I'm repping it. Got to rock it for sure. 1535 in Japan. We got a lot of Japanese viewers. This is the #1 Dodgers podcast and show in Japan as well. So I love all my friends over there. So awesome times. I'm actually scared for this NLCS. The Bats need to come alive. That is from Dan Brown. Yeah, certainly. You're not going to get away with that offense that we saw in the NLDS if you're expecting to beat this Brewers team in 7 games, a 7-game series that it's going to feel a little longer. But guys, keep firing away. We're going to get to you. Just a reminder, this show is brought to you by the LA Sports Report. That is this new channel that I partnered up to start, and we got a new show Monday through Friday talking about all LA sports, Lakers, Dodgers, and live breakdowns over there. We're also going to do 1-hour chats of Dodgers stuff where I don't have any topics. It's just all you guys for an entire hour. So definitely go to the LA Sports Report. Kings fans, USC, UCLA, Sparks, who knows, LAFC. As long as it's a sport LA, there's a chance we're going to talk about on the LA Sports Report, so definitely go join that. We're also doing a giveaway over there, a Clayton Kershaw 3,000 strikeout bobblehead, CK3K LASR, so we're giving one away on Dodgers Nation and on the LA Sports Report, so go over there. Also, join our Discord channel. We got thousands of Dodgers fans all day, every day, talking Dodger baseball. It is awesome. I love it. I think it's a great place if you're kind of sick of other social media outlets, right? It's just it's a really safe place to get all your thoughts out. But definitely go join that. Also get our new T-shirts. We got a new Rogi Sasaki T-shirt. I just dropped a Mr. Geektober Kike Hernandez T-shirt, which is awesome. Definitely go pick one of those up. I mean, that Kike shirt's going to be fire. Also, we got a new Rogi Sasaki one that we just dropped, and we got a new one about the chips. The Dodgers winning their chips, which is really cool. And I definitely recommend going and checking that one out. Here's the Geektober shirt, though. Check it out. Mr. Geektober. I designed this one. You got the cool goggles, too, over there. Really cool stuff. So go check out that Mr. Geektober shirt over to gearup.la. But Dodgers fans, Dodgers Nation, we have so much Dodger baseball to get into. It's Saturday night, and we are in the NLCS. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 wins away from the 8th World Series title. Well, no, the 9th. We won our 8th last year. So the 9th World Series title in Dodgers history. And it's going to be an exciting series against the Brewers. So we've got so much Dodger baseball to get into. So let's get right into it.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
All right, so the hottest story in Dodger baseball is that the wild card series is over. The NLDS is over. Now it's time for the big boys, the Final Four. The Brewers, Dodgers, Blue Jays, and Mariners. And the Brewers, they knocked off the Cubs at home tonight. And now we have a series with these two, really the favorites heading into this. The Dodgers, they did not finish with the best record in baseball. That was the Brewers, who found a way to go on a really, really big-time run during the middle of the summer. They really caught fire. They really found something, and give them credit. They're the team that finished with the best record in baseball, but it's not like they won 105, 110, 120 games. They're a team that won 97 games, and just before we get into it, just know that all of the momentum is for the Dodgers. Fangraphs absolutely loves the Dodgers heading into this series and for the rest of the postseason. Based on their model, they're giving the Dodgers a 43.4% chance of winning the World Series and a 70% chance of winning this series. The Dodgers are also the betting favorite to win the World Series after knocking off the Phillies. And the first thing I want to point out for this series is just the schedule. Let's look at the schedule for a second here, because one thing that really stood out with the NLDS is the Dodgers had those days off. It allowed them to really set their rotation the way they wanted to. You had the Saturday game, day off Sunday, Monday game, day off Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday. And this is a Dodgers team that knocked off that Phillies team in 4 games. This is going to be a little bit of a bunched up schedule compared to that. You got game 1 on Monday, October 13th, a 5:08 p.m. start on the West Coast. Game 2 the following day, Tuesday, October 14th in Milwaukee, 5:08. And we have not got the times for games 3, 4, and 5, but we do know that it's back to back to back. You have Thursday, October 16th, Friday, October 17th, Saturday, October 18th, a day off Sunday if the series is still going on, if the Dodgers haven't already clinched, hopefully. Then you have games 6 and 7 on Monday and Tuesday after a day off Sunday, October 20th and 21st. So the start times for 3 and 7 have not been announced, but games 3, 4, and 6, you're all going to be on the same day as an American League Championship Series. So you're going to see at least one day game in there. And I'm not going to talk about all these lame moron haters out there that are talking crap about the Dodgers and the fact that there's empty seats in the reserves in the first couple of innings for a 3:08 start. These same people, these same Philly fans. I saw this Philly fan who posted a graphic of ticket prices for Game 5 saying, oh my God, the lowest ticket price, the get-in price for Game 4 for the Dodgers was $58, and the get-in price for Game 5 for the Phillies and Dodgers is $354. You know what the price of Game 5 actually is, Philly fan? It's 0. Because there was no game. Because you lost in 4. So I don't want to hear any of that. For the Padres fans, oh my God, the Padres had already sold out the NLDS, the NLCS, the World Series. Padres haven't had a home game since September 28th. Your attendance is 0. Your stadium is a Spirit Halloween Superstore. And to me, what makes me laugh so much about this is like trying to say like a billionaire isn't rich or something like that. Because the truth of the matter is, for these other fan bases that are commenting on Dodgers fan attendance, and yes, this is a tangent here, but I have to get this off my chest. We'll get back into the nitty-gritty of the series. But I'm a little triggered because it just makes me laugh that it's trying to suggest the Dodgers have an attendance problem when they, one, led Major League Baseball in attendance, where you had over 4 million fans. 4 million fans this year in Major League Baseball. You were the only franchise that was able to average 4 million fans in the sport. So they led the sport in overall attendance. They also led Major League Baseball in fans per game. The Dodgers averaged 49,536 fans per game. That is, checks notes, 7,000 more fans than the team with the second highest. And I will point this out, in Cancun, Philly fan, sad Philly fan, that built this roster to beat the Dodgers and only was able to win one game, that traded their farm for Johan Duran, and hey, guess what? All those teams that wanted that, it worked out that way. The attendance for the Dodgers game, that would have already sold out the Philly Stadium, Citizens Bank Park, okay? So it's so stupid. It's so moronic. These fans clearly have never been to Los Angeles, never lived in Los Angeles, don't understand that it's a 3:08 game in the afternoon. There's traffic. It's not easy to get there. But look at the fans when the Dodgers won. I mean, it was a packed house. So, look, I could go on and on and on for this. I really could. I could go on and on. It's just the silliest, dumbest thing ever. Like, LA traffic makes things challenging. They do. But the problem with the Dodgers have is they have the biggest stadium in the sport. It's a 56,000 capacity stadium. The average ballpark in Major League Baseball is around 42,000. If the Dodgers want to say, hey, let's do a 45,000 seat stadium, it'd be packed to the brim with $1,000 tickets, okay? But guess what? We've got more fans than you. There's more interest in this team than for your team. So we are not the same. Philly fan, Padre fan, Brave fan, Giant fan, all these just idiot fans. They're just morons. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. So I digress on that. I'll calm down. I just don't like when the fan base gets called out, because the truth is the opposite is true. This is the most as dedicated fan base as any team out there. It's 11:46 on a Saturday. I got thousands in here. Okay? So I had to get that off my chest, and I feel better, and I thank you out there for letting me get that off my chest, because I'm telling you, your boy was absolutely triggered when I saw that all over the place. So that's where we're at as far as the schedule goes. Now, this leads me into the starting rotation for this series. And we'll talk about the Brewers. I've got a couple interviews tomorrow and Monday. We're going to do full breakdowns of this series, get to know their roster, get to know their strengths and weaknesses. I'll tell you why I think they're scary a little later on this show. But the biggest decision the Dodgers have to make is how they set up their rotation for this series. And the reason why the schedule is such a factor early on is because you only have 2 off days in that 9-day span if this series were to go 7 games, which in a full series, if you go the full 7 games, that means you would need 2 starters to throw on 4 days rest if the Dodgers are going to go with their 4-man rotation, which Dave Roberts told us earlier that they will, and those would be for Games 5 and for Game 7. So the Dodgers, you would think, well, Shohei Ohtani was going to pitch in Game 5 if Kirk Ring didn't go full-blown Bill Buckner and just choke that throw. No offense, but it was a choke, and just made a bad throw in that situation. The Dodgers were able to win. And yes, I heard people earlier about the Alex Call walk saying, "Oh, that was off the plate." Certainly it was. It was. I mean, it should have been a strike, and they called it a ball. Alex Call walked, and that helped the Dodgers get that tying run there. But hey, you get good calls and bad calls throughout a series. There's no doubt about that. But the natural inclination would be, wait, should Shohei Ohtani pitch because he was scheduled to pitch in Game 5? So naturally, you just push him to the first game of the following series. Not so fast, my friend, the words of the great Lee Corso. So they are not going to do that. What I'm hearing is, even though Dave Roberts is saying that they're still having conversations about it after the Dodgers won the NLCS, he said they were still having conversations about it. I'm hearing that it's a really good chance. Basically a lock, they're going with Blake Snell. And Blake Snell most likely is going to be that Game 1 starter. And it's logical for several different ways, but let me tell you why you're not going to see Shohei Ohtani in Game 1. Because if Shohei Ohtani pitched in Game 1, he wouldn't be able to pitch in Game 5, which is next Saturday, a week from today, because of the rest, because of where he has been used this season. Because 5 of Shohei Ohtani's 14 starts this year in the regular season, those were before a Dodgers off day. So if he pitches in Game 2, that would set him up to pitch before an off day. Because 1, you're not going to see him pitch on the 4 days rest. And 2, his offense, his performance at the plate really suffers. His performance at the plate really suffers when he pitches, and how that offense translates the following game. And yes, I've heard a lot of people talk about Shohei Ohtani and how he performed at the plate offensively against the Phillies. And yes, it was not a good series. He ends up going 1 for 18, had 0 extra base hits, finished with 9 strikeouts, hit .056. And yes, on the year, Shohei Ohtani, he's Shohei Ohtani, right? He's going to have another unanimous MVP season. The production was certainly there. And even if you look at the talented left-handed pitchers that the Phillies do have, you probably say to yourself, well, look, on the year, Shohei still had an .898 OPS with 15 of his 55 home runs off of lefties. Sure, that's all true, but you have to look at specific lefties. When it's an over-the-top lefty, Shohei has more success. When it's the 3/4 arm angle delivery type of lefty like we see in Christopher Sanchez, that is his kryptonite. That's where he struggles the most. He does not see it well off those types of lefties. The numbers reflect that. That is the scouting report against Shohei Ohtani, and we saw that. Sanchez, Luzardo, Suarez, they got lefties that are crafty, that know how to pitch to him. So give them credit. It was a tough matchup, but I expect a much better offensive showing for Shohei Ohtani against this Brewers team. Against the Brewers this year, Shohei Ohtani in 6 games had a 1,066 OPS, and he also was able to slug. He had 3 home runs and 6 doubles against the Brewers this year. So he had a lot of success against the Brewers. Even though the Dodgers did not, it was not Shohei Ohtani's fault. And on top of that, in the 9 games that Shohei Ohtani has hit after he pitched this season, the following game, and this includes Game 2 of the NLCS, he's 6 for 39, hitting a .154 with a 195 on base and a 359 slug. So he's basically with 2 home runs, a triple, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts. So basically, he's Michael Conforto. He's Michael Conforto at the plate in games after he pitches. Is that a coincidence? Is there fatigue involved? I'm sure, like most things, it's nuanced, and there's a lot of things involved with that. But that is what they are going to be considering in this situation. And if you start Shohei Ohtani in Game 2, well, then he's available for Game 6, which would be the following Monday, October 20th. And if he pitches on that Game 6, on that Monday, he'd be on 5 days rest. So that's a good situation for the Dodgers and their preferences to give as much rest as you can give him And we saw last year when Yamamoto was in the World Series, they started him game 2. And by starting in game 2, he wasn't going to be able, he would be able to be used back in LA if the series were to continue for game 6 and 7, and they were to be able to use him in one of those games. And that's why he didn't go in game 1, because he would not have been able to start in game 1 and game 5 in the 2024 World Series, because in 2024, we know what happened. The Dodgers had 2.5 starting pitchers, 3 basically with Jack Flaherty, who, by the way, Jack Flaherty, I love that guy. Once a Dodger, always a Dodger. This is a big Jack Flaherty household. I was sitting there watching the game with my wife yesterday, and she loves Jack Flaherty. I love Jack Flaherty, and we both wanted the Mariners to win because we want to have the Mariners in the World Series. Dodgers go up there, home field, all that great stuff. But we were rooting for Jack Flaherty in his innings that he pitched. That we didn't want him to be the reason why they lost, and we got that. But my dude was having full-blown conversations with himself on the mound. Go back and watch. He's on the mound, and he's having a one-man mound visit with himself, just talking to himself, hyping himself up. So that was a crazy game, but I'm just glad Jack Flaherty was able to get out of it, man. That dude's once a Dodger, always a Dodger. It was a short stint, but it was great. It was the opposite of Max Scherzer and Manny Machado, those guys who are these hired gun rentals that didn't help the Dodgers win a championship. Jack Flaherty came here, helped the Dodgers win a championship, and he has a lifetime membership of the Once a Dodger, Always a Dodger club. That means it's all love. It's all Dodgers cheers. You won't pay for a drink in this town for as long as you live. So that's where we're at with Jack Flaherty. But that was the situation that they were at last year with Yamamoto. So with Yamamoto and Glasnow, they're in better spaces this year. But for Shohei Ohtani, that is why you pitch him in game 2. And back to Blake Snell, why he makes the most sense for game 1 is game 1, Blake Snell, that's the best situation. Just because Snell, he can benefit from extra rest, but he's also someone that can pitch on 4 days rest. Now, Blake Snell did not start on 4 days rest at all for the duration of this season, but that's just because the Dodgers were working in a 6-man rotation for the last 2 months of the year. You had Clayton Kershaw, you had Emmet Sheehan, you had guys that you were working in there, but he has pitched on 4 days rest in the past. He pitched 7 times last year on 4 days rest and 11 times in 2023. So he's used to it. He understands what you have to do from a physicality, preparation standpoint, a routine standpoint. So that's why you want to start Snell in game 1, because you start Snell in game 1, he's available for game 5, which will be back at Dodger Stadium. Well, you couldn't do that with Shohei Ohtani. You can't do game 1 Shohei and game 5 Shohei, because you're not going to do a Shohei start with 4 days rest, but you can do that with Blake Snell. So that's what I think they're going to do. That's what I pretty much know they're going to do, and that's what makes the most sense. So you got Glasnow and Yamamoto next. What do you do with those guys? On Monday's show, I'm going to do the big winners and losers from the NLDS, and Glasnow was a big winner. I really loved his start, just the ability to work in that curveball, fastball up in the zone, changing speed, changing eye levels, attacking hitters. Only gave up a double and another base hit. Was really in control for most of his outing. I did talk to him after the game. Yes, he was dealing with some cramps, and just from talking to people within the Dodgers organization, I was saying, hey, man, a lot of the fans are wondering, why doesn't he go back out there? Can he go back out there? But I was told it's just way too risky for someone like a Tyler Glasnow. Not that he's soft, right? I mean, Dave challenged him to go out there and compete, and he definitely went out there and competed, but sometimes the body just gives out, and that leads to a lack of effectiveness, and the walks start piling up, and before you blink, it is a tough inning. So it was not, hey, go out there and tough it out. It was, hey, well, you got to go out there, and you got to find a way to just get the job done, just because if you can't, then the runs are at a premium. We're struggling to score against this talented group of Phillies pitchers. So I like the fact they went with Emmet Sheehan after the fact that, yes, I mean, you wish you didn't have the cramps, but that's why. He was dealing with the cramps in the 5th and the 6th inning too. So he did pitch 2 innings with the cramps. So anyone out there that's saying, oh, he just got the cramps and just quit, that's not how it worked. He was gutting his way through 2 innings, at the end of his start and was still able to get the job done. So the other thing you can consider is Yoshinobu Yamamoto in Game 2 instead of Shohei Ohtani. Because if you went with Yamamoto in Game 2 and Game 6, well, you basically this is the conversation. It's who do you want to see twice in the series? Who do you want to make sure you have twice in the series? Yamamoto or Shohei Ohtani? And Yamamoto, he's definitely ace level. I'm okay with calling him the ace of the staff. They have more aces than a deck of cards, like we always say here. And there's no doubt about that. But I think for this year, Shohei Ohtani has been very dominant. His start was better than Yamamoto's there in the NLCS. And I think that that's kind of what they're going to lean towards, unless they feel like the brunt of the load for Shohei pitching and hitting is too much in the postseason. You want to see less of him. I don't think that. So I think they're going to go with Shohei Ohtani in Game 2, and then Yamamoto gets the ball in Game 3, and then that gives you Yamamoto in Game 3, Glasnow in Game 4, and both of them would be fully rested for Game 3, which is going to be on Thursday, and then Game 4 the following day. But then with Game 7, that's on. If there's a Game 7, that would be on Tuesday, October 21st. And if you start Yamamoto in Game 3, then you make him unavailable to start Game 7. So that's another thing as well, is if you start Glasnow in Game 3, then you could start him on Game 7 on 4 days rest if you needed to. And he started on 4 days rest one time this year and one time last year. So that's kind of the big question too, is Glasnow versus Yamamoto. So I think the first two are pretty obvious. It's going to be Blake Snell and I think Shohei Ohtani. Glasnow was so good in Game 4 for the Dodgers. He definitely was just better than Yamamoto was, but I still think that Yamamoto being there, he could go. You could see a situation where one of them goes like 4 innings in Game 7 and they go a little piggyback, all hands on deck type thing. So Glasnow could go a couple innings like he did against the Phillies earlier in the series. So that's something that you could possibly do. And depending how Shohei Ohtani's start goes, maybe Shohei Ohtani comes out of the bullpen, saves things. But hey, with the way that Roki Sasaki is pitching, I wouldn't want anyone else coming out there to get those final outs other than the monster of the Reiwa era. Got an awesome new shirt for him as well. So that is where they're at. I think what they're ultimately going to do is they're going to go Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Glasnow. And I think they're going to maintain some flexibility with Glasnow to either use him earlier in the series or have a piggyback situation if it goes to a Game 7 with Yamamoto and Glasnow, because from a rest standpoint, that's how things would play out. But let me know down below in the comments section, what are your thoughts? Who do you want to see as your Game 1 starter? How do you want to see this rotation play out? Let me go to you guys. Let's check it out. All right. We got a super chat here from the Dashwood Hunt dude 999. Thanks for going live tonight, D-Mac. Was hoping to see either you and do the Dodgers versus Brewers preview today. None of the other channels bothered to go live, but you did. A 24/7, 365, baby. All Dodger baseball all day long. No days off for me. We got Nicholas Pierce, $5. All relievers acquired via the trade are out. Helsley, Duran, Miller, Duvall, Bednar. But we got Roki back. Love from Australia. Go Dodgers. You're from Australia. I love that. So that means that you get to see the Padres season go down the drain in reverse, backwards. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. All those reliever moves, what did it do for anyone? And what did it do for anyone? I mean, Duran, I still think the Dodgers could benefit from Duran. And let's be honest, they somewhat lucked out with Roki turning it around. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's awesome that it's happened, and it does feel like the baseball gods are smiling down the Los Angeles Dodgers right now. But, man, they definitely lucked out, because if they did not have Roki Sasaki pitching the way that he has, and you did not make a trade for one of those top-end relievers, well, then you'd be looking at it right now as, wait, the Dodgers wasted an elite rotation in a generational offense, even though they didn't hit like that. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it. We got some more thoughts on the Brewers before we get to Dave Roberts. This is going to be really an interesting series. The Brewers are a really good team, And there's a reason why they finished with 97 wins. They're a gritty team. They take tough at-bats. They got a 9% walk rate, a 20% strikeout rate. Those are really good numbers. That tells you they walk a good amount towards the top of the league. They make you throw pitches. They make you execute on the mound. And if 20% strikeout rate, they're going to make you work. And they have a good offense, too. A 107 weighted runs created plus. See Jackson Chourio hitting well. And they don't have the potent bats. I really think from a slug perspective, and slugging is winning in the postseason. If you outslug your opponent in October, you win at an over 80% clip. And, of course, I always say if you want the dub, you've got to slug. That Cubs team was dangerous, right? You've got a lot of above-average hitters, guys with OPS is north of 800, the Michael Bushes, the Kyle Tuckers of the world, Ian Haps, and they had a really, P. Crow Armstrong and a really strong middle infield with Dansby Swanson, Horner, and just a deep in the middle, right? It's very strong in the middle of their defense with P. Crow Armstrong, which definitely plays a factor. But the Brewers are the better team. They're a better base running team. They swing at the lowest amount of pitches out of the zone, so they're really selective at the plate. They're going to make the Dodgers pitchers attack the zone. I do like the Dodgers pitchers in those matchups because their stuff is nasty and they have the ability to win in the zone. But from a power standpoint, this is a Brewers team. This is a Brewers team that really, you don't want to take anyone lightly. You absolutely don't want to take anyone lightly. You really, really don't. But, this is a team that it's tough to see a world where they're scoring 5-6 runs a game against the Dodgers. It's tough to imagine that. And you look at the regular season, which is really different than the postseason for sure, and we're going to have a chance to compare both numbers. But kind of what this team has been about is they're not a team that slugs with the best of them. If you look at their slugging on the year, this is a team that, you look at their isolated power, right? If you look at their isolated power, and isolated power is a really good measure of, it's a really good measure to give you kind of a quick and dirty way to evaluate the overall power of a team. And the way it's calculated, you subtract batting average from slugging percentage, so you're just getting the raw ISO power. And then you look at the ISO power leaders. The Yankees were 1 at 204. The Dodgers were 2 at 188. And the Brewers, are at 25th. So you don't really see a lot of teams make it deep in the postseason with bottom third isolated power. That 2015 Royals team comes to mind with how their pitching was. They were able to advance and go deep into the postseason. But it's rare to see a team, especially when you look at the starting pitching and the overall bullpen that the Dodgers have. It's tough to imagine that they're going to score a ton of runs. And who knows how any postseason is going to play out, right? If I told you that this Dodgers team was going to hit less than 200 against the Phillies, you probably wouldn't have loved their chances to win, let alone beat that team in 4 games. But starting pitching is king in the postseason, and that's what the Dodgers have. Outside of Yamamoto's start, you got 6 from every single starter. 6+ is definitely what 9 innings used to be back in the day. So that's definitely going to be an advantage that they have. Is the Brewers on a great slugging team. They do take tough at bats. They were an above average offense, and their starters, really, Quinn Priester, he didn't pitch well against the Cubs. It's basically Freddie Peralta in a bunch of bullpen games with McGill and Uribe and The Miz. And The Miz is electric. Make no mistake about it. But The Miz is only going to give you 3 or 4 innings. So you're going to get a lot of different looks. You don't have those dominant lefties like the Phillies had with Christopher Sanchez, Luzardo, Ranger Suarez. So I expect guys like Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman to have much better series. Look, Freddie said it after the game. They are so happy to get past the Phillies. They are so happy to get past the Phillies, and that dominant rotation led by some of the best left-handed pitchers in the sport. And I could tell you a story from being inside that Dodgers clubhouse after the game, which actually was their batting cage. They don't let you party in the clubhouse anymore because they spend so much money on it. But in that Dodgers clubhouse / batting cage where the party was at, Shohei Ohtani was doing a scrum with a bunch of Japanese reporters, and he was talking a lot about Roki Sasaki, but he was also talking about his struggles in this series. And I thought it was funny. Shohei basically said, hey, I wasn't the only one. Freddie Freeman wasn't his best either. And he's not like he was blaming Freddie or anything like that, but what he was pointing out was, hey, it was tough for the lefties against that Phillies team. Not a lot of success against those lefties. So, and thankfully in the whole Duran situation, Johan Duran, when he walked in the tying run, thanks to Mookie Betts' great at bat, where, you saw it was 101 up out of the zone. Most hitters are swinging at that. Duran had never walked in a game-winning run like that. Never had a walk in the postseason. And I still believe that Thompson made a major mistake in walking Shohei Ohtani in that situation. You don't want to load the bases there and make your margin for error 0, where a wild pitch scores a run, a pass ball scores a run, a hit by a batter scores a run, a walks did score a run. If I was Thompson, I would have pitched to Shohei with how he was looking against lefties. You're not going to have those same issues this series, so you got to give the advantage to the Dodgers offense. You've got to give the advantage to the Dodgers starters, and I think the big equalizer in all of this is this. The big equalizer is this. The Brewers offense, even though you don't have big superstar names, like Yelich isn't even what he used to be, but Andrew Vaughn hits bombs, and you got Jackson Chourio. There's guys that can do some interesting things there for sure, but the biggest X factor, I think, in this series is how many pitches the Brewers are able to see against the Dodgers starting pitching. How many walks are they going to be able to draw? Are they going to get Tyler Glasnow to go 4 innings or Yamamoto to go 4 innings versus 6 innings? The biggest difference between this team is a Dodgers starter going 4 innings versus a Dodgers starter going 6 or 7 innings. Because if he goes 4, that means you're going to see Blake Trinan. That means you're going to possibly see just a different part of the pen that is not just, okay, 7 and let's get to Roki. 7, let's get to, I think Anthony Bonda was a big winner, so I trust him more. Clayton Kershaw, we'll see if he makes the roster. I expect at the end of the day he will be rostered. But that is what the Brewers are good at. They're good at grinding out at bats, seeing a lot of pitches, and we'll see if that's able to knock some of the Dodgers starters out of the game sooner than they were able to do against the Phillies. So those are some of the early thoughts against the Brewers, and we're definitely going to get more into it because, look, they're definitely a threat for sure. Freddie Peralta is legit. They got a really, really good. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the Dodgers are going to dominate the Brew Crew. Brewers, forget those guys. Dodgers in 1. They're going to beat him so bad that Ryan Braun's going to give his 2011 MVP that he stole from Matt Kemp back to him. All right? Not saying anything like that. They're definitely a really, really good team. Here's a wild thing I looked up before the show. I wanted to find out the payroll differences, and of course, we know the Dodgers' opening day payroll was $354.8 million. $354.8 million. This will blow your mind. The Brewers' 2025 payroll is at $121.7 million. That's 22nd in Major League Baseball. With the Dodgers paying the tax when they have been repeat offenders of that competitive tax, and because of that, every single dollar above the CBT they spend gets taxed at a 110% rate. So the CBT payroll that the Dodgers are going to pay this year is going to set a new record, and right now it's at $143.4 million. That would obliterate the previous record that was set by the Dodgers last year, where they paid $103 million in luxury tax. So think about this. The Dodgers are going to be paying more in luxury tax than the Brewers are paying their entire team. $143.4 million to $121.7 million. That's pretty wild. But hey, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It really, really doesn't. Yes, the Dodgers have more talent, but this Brewers team, they should not be taken lightly. You got to respect them. They're here for a reason, and they're going to give the Dodgers a tough test. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so we're going to take your comments right after this, but let's hear from Dave Roberts because there's some good nuggets in here about how the roster is going to shape up. It's a little on the long side, but hey, this is the best way to kind of to get those nuggets and listen to these breadcrumbs. So that's the way you can see how the roster is shaped. So here was Dave Roberts, who spoke to us a few hours ago today.
Hey, Dave. I obviously know there's still kind of a lot up in the air, still kind of waiting to hear who you guys will be playing, obviously, if you'll be traveling or not. How challenging does that kind of make just the game planning for you guys? Or have you already just kind of started to look at what the NLCS roster and things will look like?
Definitely looking at how, which direction it goes, preparing for, either scenario, opponent, travel, stay here. So I wouldn't say difficult. It's certainly nice to be able to get a couple days to reset, prepare. And we're kind of doing our due diligence and sort of having one-off team meetings until obviously kind of locking in after this game tonight.
Last year, you guys put a lot of emphasis on, of course, the guys being together and obviously locking in these 4 weeks with a game being tonight, with so much kind of being on that game. Is this an example as are you guys gonna like plan to watch together or just kind of another way of having some team bonding at this time of the season?
I think it's more of yesterday giving the guys the day off, certainly a very intense series, and then today getting back to work, trying to mirror a potential game time for Monday, whether it's local or in Milwaukee, and just giving us a couple hours together to spend time. And obviously, during the workout, we'll have that game on the big board.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Next question's from Dave Vassay. Go ahead, Dave.
Hi, Dave. Just wanted to know if you plan, depending on matchups, how much of a change will the roster look like at the end of the bench with Dean and Kim? And how's Kike feeling after that last game when you guys went out to check on him in the 11th?
Kike, from what I understand, is in a much better spot. Obviously, the couple of days is beneficial. So I don't think he's going to be impacted going forward. I think that now you're talking about a potential 7-game, you're talking about a 7-game series, potential 7-game series versus a potential 5-game series. So now, obviously pitching becomes more paramount, and I don't know exactly how, the roster's going to look, but I think the 7-game series, and then you layer on a potential opponent, it's going to look a little bit different.
You're thinking maybe an extra pitcher and one less position player, and
that's probably the start of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question's from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Dave, we've talked about this a little bit, but what do you make of Shohei's slump?
I think a little bit is driven by, I think a lot of it actually, Bill, is driven by the left-handed pitching. And even with that, he wasn't as bad during the regular season as he was in the postseason versus those guys. Certainly, whatever opponent we face, they're going to try to put as many lefties on Shohei, but hoping that he can kind of do a little self-reflecting on that series and how aggressive he was outside of the strike zone, passive in the zone, and just the at-bat quality needs to get better. So hopefully, with the hitting guys himself, learning from that past series and getting better, because we're going to need him to be better.
How much do you think was the unfavorable matchups pitching wise, and how much was self-inflicted?
I think it was started out more so as the unfavorable matchups. I thought, in the wild card series, he was fine. They weren't going to let him beat him. And then, I thought from the first pitch on in that division series, chasing in off kind of set the tone for that series.
Thanks, Dave. Congratulations on your Bruins.
Sorry, Bill, I didn't want to bring that up, but thank you.
Next question is from Jack Harris. Go to Jack.
Hey, Dave, do you guys have a game one starter yet?
We don't. We're going to talk through it, Jack. I think there's obviously a few different ways we can go. So I think that's going to be, a little bit. We're kind of get the guys together and circle up here today, and probably we'll have it tomorrow.
Okay. And then how are you guys handling like the logistics of tonight? Is everyone just packed and ready to go to the airport if you guys got to go to Milwaukee?
No, we're going to fly out tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Next question is from Fabian. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave, just to follow up on Shohei, I think it's kind of similar spot for him coming out of the DS last year, where obviously Tanner Scott was pretty tough on him and Darvish was pretty tough on him. How did he sort of recalibrate to have a better CS last year? Is there anything he can do to kind of do a similar thing this year?
I think that's very a good point, and I think the word recalibrate is what he did last year and what we're going to need from him this next series. And we're not going to win the World Series with that sort of performance. So we're counting on a recalibration, getting back into the strike zone, understanding, what when he faces left-handed pitching, what they're going to try to do, crowd him in off and then spin him away. And he's just got to be better at kind of managing the hitting zone. And so I'm counting on it, and we're all counting on it.
And obviously, you're not going to have as many off days to deal with as you did during the DS, and Yamamoto and Ohtani are going to need extra rest. Is there going to be a possibility where you need a fifth starter if that's necessary, just considering how the off days line up?
No. I think that the four starters and how we kind of, line it up is important, but I think four is going to be what is all we need.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Next question's from Rowan Kavner. Go ahead, Rowan.
Hey, Dave, I know you're still waiting to see who you're going to play, but if it is the Brewers, you and Pat Murphy have come a long way since San Diego in 2015. I'm curious how well you knew him then and maybe what your relationship's been like since then.
We got a great relationship. Pat and I, we go way back and have a great friendship, and really impressed with what he's done with that ball club. And they're just a gritty team. They play hard, and they play to win. So regardless of how it comes out, he's had a tremendous season.
Thanks.
Yep.
Next question's from Sonia Chen. Go ahead, Sonia.
Hey Dave, kind of to follow up on like the rotation, do you see the need to potentially insert a bullpen day if the series got to 6-7 games, or do you think four starters can cover that?
Yeah, I don't know how the series, obviously no one knows how the series is going to play out, but I do think that how we would kind of line the starters up. We would do the best we can to get four starters and not have to, take on a bullpen game.
And last series, Kershaw, the night he pitched, you obviously were down a man in the bullpen, but is this something that he's kind of willing to do, eat innings, if that's kind of his best fit on a postseason roster going forward?
Yeah, I think that, Clayton's, just like all of our guys, are willing to do whatever it takes to contribute, and whatever role that might be. We were down a man, for a game, last series. But going forward again, I don't know how this roster is going to look, but Clayton to everybody else would do whatever it takes. Yes.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next question's from Megan Garcia. Go ahead, Megan.
Hey Dave, you guys beat the Phillies without a lot of slug. What does that say about the offense, and how do you expect that to play out in the NLCS?
I think this past series just speaks to the pitching and the defense, the run prevention. I don't think we weren't great offensively, and you got to give credit to the Phillies pitching staff. We're gonna need to be better offensively. Hopefully, expect our pitching to continue to do what they've been doing for quite some time, and the offense to get untracked and to take a little bit of pressure off the pitching staff, which I can see happening regardless of opponent.
And then with Song, how much value does he bring to come off the bench, and how can he be utilized potentially in the next round?
A lot of value. Obviously the versatility from the shortstop to the second base to potentially in the outfield, the left-handed bat, the speed, which we utilized. So yeah, I mean, he's a valuable player. I don't know how it's going to play out as far as the roster for this next series, but he's certainly going to be in the conversation.
Great, thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next questions from Eric Steven. Go ahead, Eric.
Dave, Justin Dean has had a very specific role for you guys this year and this postseason. I'm wondering if you kind of had that role with the Red Sox in 2004. Has there been a time where you've had like a conversation with him like about your experience in that and like what to expect, or did that come up at all?
No, but I've had a conversation with him, but not specifically to my role. It was more of just understanding, for this year, his center field defense is a premium, and there might be times that he's asked to run and potentially steal a base, and so he was in for whatever was asked or needed of him, and you can see how much we counted on him in certain spots.
Next question's from Michael Duarte. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Miggy Rowe told me that regardless of which team you face, Brewers or Cubs, that there's some get back that the team wants to get. The Cubs won the last 4 against you, and obviously the Brewers all 6 in the regular season. Is that something you agree with, and is that something you might use as motivation with your team this series?
I don't think I need to bring it to light. I think it's pretty apparent that the Brewers kicked our tails, and the Cubs had their way with us once we came back from Tokyo. And so that's the players are motivated. But again, regardless of opponents, we got to win this next series. And so, but yeah, but I do think that learning from what those guys did against us to beat us behooves us. And so that's something that I'm personally mindful of, how we can kind of, flip that script.
All right, last one's from Nayuki. Go ahead.
Hi, Dave. Going back to Shohei, on the day he pitches, he seems to swing early in the count. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think it's true. I think, when he's pitching, he's trying to, probably conserve energy and not really getting into at-bats. Yeah, it hasn't been good when he's pitched. So I do think that that's part of it. So yeah, we got to think through this and come up with a better game plan.
All right, there's Dave Roberts. So the big takeaways from that, some good stuff there. You're not going to see a 5th starter, so that tells you that you're going to still see Emmet Sheehan in a bullpen type of role. You're not going to see Clay Kershaw get any type of starts. And then also the Hae-Sung Kim question is pretty interesting as well, because his role is as a pinch runner, and they don't need him as a defensive replacement. Justin Dean is someone that if it's late in the game, he can come in, go into center. You can kick Andy Pages over to right where he's better at defense. And if you don't need Teo in the lineup, if it's a bigger lead or whatever the situation is, that's something you can consider as well. Also, Justin Dean's a great pinch runner, too. He's a very good runner. By the way, this is how wild baseball is. What if I told you before the series, before the season even, that the 2 guys that were going to score runs in a clincher against the Phillies, it was going to be Justin Dean, who came in to pinch run for Alex Calder in the 7th inning, and then it would be Hae-Sung Kim late in the game, who came in to pinch run as well when he ran for Tommy Edman. So, yeah, I mean, just think of how wild Major League Baseball is. And those 2 guys, I expect one of them to not be on the roster. Another thing Dave pointed out was you're going to see an extra pitcher. I have heard that Will Klein is certainly in the conversation. He's eligible to come back, and he has been a really good power right-handed pitcher. Of course, with the Tanner Scott procedure, you're not expecting to see him. So that kind of puts you in a position where Guys like Alex Vesia, I think, had a really strong series in big moments. Anthony Bond, I think, had a really strong series. Will we see Justin Robleski on the roster? I think Ben Kasperius is another guy that they're having conversations about that I expect to have a pretty decent chance of being back on this roster for the NLCS. And then Clayton Kershaw, I think, is rostered. I don't think he's going to go out there and defer. I mean, you need a guy that can pitch a couple innings. He was Clayton Honeyshaw, right? Clayton Kerwell, right? He was, might as well go out there and wear the turtleneck for Clayton Kershaw out there the way that he was eating that one. And what that allowed the Dodgers to do was look at the following game. You had Tyler Glasnow, Roki pitched 3, Vesia pitched, and Sheehan pitched. So all the guys that were saved in Game 3 because Kersh ate that one and wore that one all played a very important role in the Game 5 clincher. And then the other question is the roster spots as far as the catching goes, because I feel pretty good about Will Smith. I don't think you're going to need a third catcher in this one. And if you're thinking, well, Ben Rortvedt, I think the interesting thing for me is this, and I know I had some in the comments saying about, D-Mac, you owe Will Smith an apology because you wanted Ben Rortvedt in there. I wanted Ben Rortvedt to catch for a handful of innings and then to have the rest of the back end of those innings by Will Smith and get those 2 at-bats just because I want to preserve Will Smith. But if he's 100% healthy and it's not limited at all, you look at last year, Will Smith was able to go the full postseason, and it was a big reason why they won. But in this case, I look at the fact that you've got those games 3, 4, and 5 all in back-to-back days, and you're going to have a day game in there. So with that being the case, I think you look at, yes, Dalton Rushing there's a lot of righties on this team, so rushing as a bat off the bench could be big. Heck, do you even consider Michael Conforto as a bat off the bench against a righty? And does he make it back on the roster? Who knows, right? I mean, I think there's some. You look at the back end of this roster, you're not seeing those lefties, right? They're not in this rotation or coming out of this bullpen in the same frequency. You don't got that same nastiness that the Phillies did have. So that's a question, but I think that Rortvedt, he's a left-handed batter too, takes good solid at-bats, and look, they're going to need their big boppers to hit. I mean, they're going to need their big dudes to slug in this one if they want any chance of winning this series. So I think that you're not going to take 3 catchers. The other thing, too, is if Will Smith is on the roster and he gets injured again, you can take him off the roster and have whoever catcher is not on and put back on, whether it be Dalton Rushing or Ben Rortvedt. So me personally, I still like the idea of splitting time with Will Smith and Ben Rortvedt if he's not at 100%. And then Rortvedt is a guy that can work in some time, one of those middle games too, potentially. I mean, like I said, you've got 3, 4, and 5 back-to-back days with a day game mixed in there. So that's something I'm considering as well. Okay, so a quick word on Munetaka Murakami. You had Mark Feinsand say that he reported that Murakami is going to be available and that the Dodgers are going to be, quote, in the mix. Mark Feinsand tweet out, Munetaka Murakami is expected to be posted this offseason, bringing one of Japan's best power hitters to the majors. What could his market like? And in his piece, what he said about the Dodgers was that the Dodgers would potentially be in the mix. So not saying a ton there. I think the big questions, and we'll do a deeper dive on this on Monday's show, the big questions here are, what do you do at third base? Because Murakami is not a good defender, like at all. Like he makes Max Muncy look like a Platinum Glove Award winner. He makes him look like he's Arenado or Manny Machado in his pride. And he makes it look like that, right? Like he's a really good defender. He's not a good third baseman. He's a bad third baseman. He projects as a DH and as a first baseman. And even if you were to bring him in and develop him for a couple of years with the hope that he takes over first base when Freddie Freeman leaves, well, I don't think they want to just lock that spot up for him. I think that they're looking at maybe that could be a spot for Will Smith down the line. And then Teoscar Hernandez, he's still here for a couple more years. I mean, does he ever get some time first? Probably not. But, I mean, you just don't want to lock up that first base spot with him. So I think that's the big question. Where does he fit defensively? Because obviously he's not going to be a DH, and he's obviously not going to be a first baseman, and his defense is below average to the point where you wonder if he would even want to sign with a team where he's playing third baseman or expected to play third base. That's what I've heard from multiple sources in Japan. So I think the other question too is, was that 2022 season aberration? Kind of the knock on him offensively is that he misses pitches in the zone worse than anyone in the league in the NPB. And that's saying that pitches that end up in the zone, he misses those pitches at an extremely high clip. Yes, the power numbers are certainly there when he's right, and he has had some impressive numbers, but make no mistake about it. Like, this is not a Yamamoto or Ohtani or Roki, right? This is a position player one, but not someone who's even the pitching equivalent of those guys as a position player. He's missed time due to injuries this year. In 2025, the slugging was still solid. I mean, the OPS at 1,098. The home runs have gone down. I mean, that 2022 season when he was 22, it looked like, I mean, they were calling him the Japanese Babe Ruth, right? I mean, he hit 56 home runs, but ever since then, the most he's hit is 33. And 33 home runs in the Major League Baseball level in the show, that does not translate to that same number. You're probably thinking 20 home runs. So I'm not the biggest Murakami guy. I'm really not. I do like the fact, too, that with Max Muncy, he has a $10 million club option for 2026. And the Dodgers, that's a slam dunk to pick up that club option at $10 million. The only question is, do you tack on a couple years for work past due, or who knows? I don't know if you guys saw this. I broke the story the other night in the clubhouse that Miguel Rojas was going to retire after the following season. So Rojas wants to come back, he told me, and finish his career with the Dodgers in 2026 and retire the following year. I'm sure you're going to offer something to Kike. So my point of that is that they've got some guys that are long in the two. So do you want to pick one guy to go young with? And would that be Murakami? I'm not so sure. And even if it's sign Max Muncy, extend him, or trade him, they're going to bring him in. But yeah, I just don't think right now there's a defensive fit for Murakami. But couple more here. Let's go to the seventh inning stretch. Let's go to the seventh inning stretch, guys. I know it's a late night show. It's 12:30. My goodness. You know it was that late. Wow, it's Dodger baseball, man. It never sleeps. Let's go to the seventh inning stretch.
The seventh inning stretch.
All right, we got Teo is clutch, WTF. We've got why we talk about the offseason already, job not done, Ara. Hey, I mean, I like to keep you guys informed where you're the first people to know who. If you listen to this podcast, you'd be the very first Dodgers fans to know who Roki Sasaki was. And then now it's like everyone knows who Roki Sasaki is. So I feel it's my job. It's incumbent upon me to make sure you're the first to know about things. And the truth is that Murakami was linked to the Dodgers, and a prominent insider said that. So I got to keep you on that. And I was also asked a question in the chat, too. Someone said that, too. Bilal K says, what up, Bilal? How you doing, Bilal? We cool, or what's going on? Just give us Kyle Tucker this offseason. We got Aaron Vega, so you a fan. We got Beer Sama, but is Murakami better than Conforto? I think you're better than Conforto. No, I'm just playing. Fancy Pants, hola, late night Dodgers. I know Hope is an outfielder. We got the Stone Cat. If it's a team-friendly deal and he wants to develop his game better, then yes. Otherwise, I see Murakami going probably to the Mets or Chicago or something. Adam Jones, what's up? Delirium, we're facing the number one seed, and they have home field advantage. The Dodgers are officially the underdog. Joe, we got Ren Dodgers diehards. We got AU Potter. We got J-Kid323. Dane, D-Mac up late. Just got home. Glad I can catch a little bit of D-Mac. What up, J-Kid? Dong. What up, Dong? We got Beerus. We got Dong Kim. D-Mac. What foresight by Friedman to trade for Call at the deadline. Not sure if Quan would have been as effective against Sanchez like Call was. Yeah, fantastic point, Dong. And it's tough to know if that was for that specific matchup, but also give the Dodgers credit for trusting in Call. And he reached base all three times against Sanchez. He got hit by a pitch. He drew a walk, had a base hit. And he's just a really good guy to have on the roster because he, even though he was pinch ran for, is an above average runner. He's an above average defender. He grinds out at bats against lefties, and he's got a role on this team. And to have a role on this team when you're not a star, you have got to do multiple things at an above average level, and he does that. He sees pitches. He's just really good at just taking these tough at bats. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Alex Call, and I do think that was a really good pickup. And the fact too, you bring up the Stephen Kwan thing, right? Where are you going to put Kike? We're going to put Kike. And that's something that we brought up right after they didn't trade for Kwan and they didn't hit the Kwan, right? And that Kike was always going to get his time, whether it be third base or the outfield, but you don't want to plug up those spots too much. And Alex Call's a guy that you don't have to worry about not playing him when it's time to not play him. Now he can go back to a different role where if he doesn't play at all, you don't feel bad about it, right? But if you trade for Stephen Kwan, you have to play him essentially. But you don't have to just play a Alex Call. He plays when it makes sense for him to play based on if it's a lefty on the mound, if there's a certain situation. They didn't even have him in the lineup against all lefties. It was specifically against Christopher Sanchez because he had gone 2 for 10 against him in the regular season. We've got to Joe Magazzini, D-Mac. The Brewers messed us up in the regular season. Should we be afraid? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Yes, that Brewers team, they were dominant against the Dodgers, right? They won all 6 games. The Dodgers 0-6 versus the Brewers. They outscored the Brewers 30. The Dodgers got outscored by the Brewers 31-16 in those 6 games. They got swept twice. They got swept at American Family Field on July 7th through the 9th, and they came to Dodgers Stadium and swept them July 18th through the 20th. And look, that was during a stretch of games where Yamamoto got roughed up once. He had a couple of nasty Kirby Yates appearances. The Miz was going crazy that one game. Clayton Kershaw got rocked a little bit. And then you didn't have Blake Snell. You didn't have Ohtani on the mound. You didn't have Roki Sasaki. It was a very different team. That was during a stretch of games where the Brewers went 39-9. And I think what's cool about this Dodgers team is it's always, hey, where's that 46-7 streak in the summer? We're now starting to see the summer streak, but it's coming in the fall. The big Dodgers run that we see every year where you're winning tons of games, and they had won 9 games in a row before the loss there in game 3. We're seeing it at the right time, and that tells you that they're peaking at the right time. So the Dodgers summer that we're used to is actually the Dodgers fall, and I'd much rather have it in October than July. Well, the Brewers, they had their big streak in the summertime. The Dodgers, they fell victim to that. And you got to give them credit. I mean, the Brewers, it's a good team. I mean, it really is. I mean, they're a really solid team, and they make the most of what they have. But I would say that 0-6 that the Dodgers had, that record against them in the regular season, it means absolutely nothing. Like, it means nothing at all whatsoever. Should not even be talked about. It's a totally different team that the Dodgers have right now. And the regular season just kind of means nothing, really. I mean, look at the 1988 Dodgers. They literally were 1-10 against the Mets that year, and they were able to beat that same Mets team in the NLCS. So there's not this transitive property. Regular season wins don't translate to postseason wins. I make absolutely nothing of that 0-6 team, other than the fact that, yeah, I mean, that they are dangerous, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. Well, what scares me the most, the number one thing that scares me the most about the Brewers is that the Dodgers offense has not hit consistently. They just have not. They're top-level guys, Shohei, Freddie, we've talked about them. Mookie certainly has had his moments. Teo's had his moments. Muncie's had his moments. But just as far as the overall success of the offense, it has not been there. And this is a really, really good Brewers team at playing matchups with their bullpen, with McGill, with Uribe, with the Miz going 3-4 innings out of the pen, with Freddie Peralta being a really good top-level starter. The Dodgers offense is what scares me, and the Brewers' ability to neutralize that offense, but you don't have the lefties, so that's why I feel confident. But if we are looking at a 7-game series, and you look at the numbers they post against the Phillies, the Dodgers hit as a group 199, had a 58 weighted runs created plus, had a 557 OPS. They were 5 for 29 with runners in scoring position, and they left 31 men on base. So what scares me about the Brewers is they're running into a Dodgers offense that, are they going through a cold streak or are they not? But I think that the scary thing is not the home field advantage. The pitching is solid, but I still think at the end of the day, the Dodgers should be in a really, really good position to win this series and go to the World Series. Let's do some more comments here. We've got, who else we got? We got Dodgers diehards. Era Kamazian, thanks, D-Mac. Tucker failed from Kiki. A. Sandoval, we bleed Dodger blue 24/7. D-Mac, love to hear that, baby. Bleed that Dodger blue. Mookie Betts loves Disneyland. D-Mac, is Ohtani the GOAT? I always say this about Shohei. He still has a lot of work to do as far as winning multiple World Series titles, and I think you need to win a World Series MVP, an NLCS MVP. I mean, Barry Bonds wasn't particularly great in the postseason, but I do think that you need to win more titles and to be truly the GOAT, to truly say, oh, has the counting stats, he's got the MVPs, but I think what you can already say about Shohei Ohtani is he is the best player imaginable. I think he's the best player imaginable, meaning if we were dreaming up your best player that was not even real, you would say, man, not only can he hit for 50 home runs, he can pitch like a top 10 pitcher. So he's already the best player imaginable. I said on my other show, the LA Sports Report, that he is the GOAT. You can go over there and check that out. But I still think that I'm comfortable calling him the GOAT because I think that as long as he stays healthy, that he's going to have the accolades, the moments, and everything you need to be the GOAT. So I think at the end of the day, he will be the GOAT. He's already the most talented player, but to certify it and lock it up, you need to see just like 3 or 4 more years of postseason success, some more MVPs. I think he's going to catch Barry Bonds with the 7 MVPs as long as he pitches. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say that. NS Late Night D-Mac, we got Mike. What's up, Paul? D-Mac got me through the 2023 season, ending how it did, LOL. Yeah, I know, right? I've struggled with the lefties. We got Ramble. Glasnow had 2 really good starts. He did. Primetime, go Brewers. Oh, shout out to Brewers fans in here. I guarantee there's no Brewers show going live right now. Brewers are nothing special. It's from BC. BC, worst team to finish with the best record in many years. We got Boys. What's up? Chuck, Dodgers are not fearing the Brewers. Don Kim, also, the Brewers do not have the pitching depth. Think they have 2 starters with some multi-inning bullpen relief. Yeah, as we talked about earlier. I mean, it's Freddie Peralta and a bunch of relievers, but good ones, and also the Miz can give you 3 or 4 really good innings. Tonight he did give up a run. Dodgers bats cooled off last series. Game 1 has a lot to tell us. I agree, too. You want to get out in front and win that Game 1. I mean, so excited. Feels like it's a long way from now, but we're going to be on live tomorrow as well. Let's do some more. We got momentary pitchers dial into the best bats in the postseason. It's normal. I don't think the Brewers have the arms to do well the rest. I think that's the thing, too. I mean, a lot of times we've seen with this Dodgers team, they're too long for the opposing team. They have too much depth. I mean, if you watch that Mariners game, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, man, I mean, the bottom of this Mariners lineup, not a lot of guys that have a true chance to do something. The end of the Dodgers lineup, I mean, even if it's a Pajes or a Rojas or Edman, guys like that, I mean, you feel like they have a chance to hit one out, a chance to have a big moment. There's just so much talent on the depth side from the rosters, from the lineup spot. And throughout the course of a 7-game series, the depth is more of a factor, and it can wear teams down. But I think, too, there's no pressure on this Brewers team. You got the Bob Uecker magic. You got home field advantage. They just found ways to win. Like I said, we're going to do a deeper dive on them tomorrow, but let's not look past them. Let's not take them lightly. John Chen, thoughts on bringing back Bellinger, who just became a UFA. Look, I've always loved Cody Bellinger. I'm a lifelong Belly Ever, but I always say you don't want to reheat those McDonald's French fries. And you look at next season, I just think Bellinger, the kind of money he's looking for, he's had a really good season, and he's still a good outfielder. I wouldn't hate it. It would be kind of nostalgic, but I do want this roster to get a little younger. And Bellinger, he's not young anymore. He isn't. And he's also some guy that's dealt with injuries throughout his career. And Cody Bellinger right now, he's 30. So, I mean, that's a true free agent. Usually you see guys enter free agent during that time. Has definitely changed a lot as a hitter. He's not that big home run guy that he was. He's a little hitting for more average than power these days, but the power numbers have creeped back up too. So I'm happy for him. I just don't. I want to go a different direction as far as the outfield of the future. So I'm not like, it's not a hard pass, like that's no from me, dog type stuff, but I definitely would explore. He wouldn't be my plan A, plan B, or plan C. I think he'd be down the line for sure if I'm bringing him back. No doubt about it. We got he's got Boris guy too, so he's going to want to get paid, and the Dodgers aren't going to want to give him like a massive bag. Belly got paid $26 million this year, didn't he? Lola, what's up, Lola? He would have to perform as a continuous high level. We got JR, trade for some Marlins or A's. They have some great young players. JT Bullitt. We got Michael Castaneda. Come on, guys. Great pitching beats great hitters all the time. Phillies did their homework. Brewers don't have those types of arms. Thanks, D-Mac, for yeah. Look, you're absolutely right. They had a great game plan. You were crowding Shohei Ohtani inside the plate. You were trying to get him to chase breaking balls and sliders and sweepers off the plate, and they did a good job. They had really good attack plans against these Dodgers hitters, and unfortunately, the Dodgers still prevail. But all right, guys, Bilal K will get you. We either have to play our prospects or trade them, no doubt about it. All right, guys. Also, we're working on a hotline that you can call and leave voicemails. Hopefully that starts next week, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to have you guys on the show. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, 1248. You guys know I'll stay up for you guys, and we'll talk more about the roster tomorrow, so the big questions, and we'll learn tomorrow who the starting pitcher will be for the Dodgers in Game 1. Like I said, in hearing, it's most likely to be Blake Snell. And as we explained, that's the right decision. But all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday morning. Get some rest. We'll talk Dodger baseball tomorrow. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button for your Los Angeles Dodgers. Join the LA Sports Report for Dodgers giveaways, breakdowns, analysis, and also exclusive interviews. I got Yasiel Puig and Kenley Jansen coming up as interviews. You're going to see those over there. Exciting stuff. And appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night. And remember that nothing, absolutely nothing. Hit the like button on your way out, too, if you want to support the channel. Hit that like button and drop a comment. And remember that nothing, absolutely nothing, brings us together. It can bring us together at 12:49 in the morning on a Sunday, like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
And when the upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured, once again, it will be time for Dodger baseball.